kind of any type of sales for the most part, and we're all in sales, okay? The biggest thing I can tell you is that we all have databases. We all are growing our database in a variety of ways. The thing you got to keep in mind out there is you can get all the learning you want. You can get all the knowledge that you want out there. But the thing that you keep in mind is that most people, when they're doing something, they're like, I don't want to reach out. I don't want to talk to anybody. And that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make as a note investor. It's actually one of the 3 biggest mistakes I see note and real estate investors make out there is they don't immediately start building their list. Now, what I mean by list, do I mean that you're going to make a list of everybody that you know, like you are in a multi-level marketing thing, where you're going to reach out to everybody and have them buy, soap on a rope or vitamins or shakes or things like that? No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about building the list. It's important to realize that as you're out networking, as you're out going to events, every person you come in contact with falls into one of 3 categories. Everybody's a buyer, a seller, or a funding source for you. Now, one of the things that you have to do is you can't be a wallflower. If you're going to an expo, or you're going to a summit, or you're going to a class, or you're just going to your local real estate club, or you're out at a closing or whatever, as you're out doing things, the most important thing you can do is get that person's contact. Everybody has value to you of some sort. Even those that aren't in your neck of the woods or aren't in your niche are still valuable of some sort. What do I mean by that? Well, oftentimes we'll go to an event and there'll be local investors here, let's say in Austin, that are in real estate. Well, we don't buy a lot of notes in Austin, okay? Don't buy a lot of notes in Texas, period. But it doesn't mean that person at some point is going to be looking for a deal maybe outside of Austin, maybe a funding source, maybe a referral source for you, all right? So that's a very important thing, is that people that you come in contact with, no matter who they are, hey, I would put them in your database. If you collect a business card or you're sponsoring an event, you get a list of contacts, stuff like that, put them in your database. But the most important thing you can do is besides putting them in your database, is B, actually sending up a follow-up email, okay? Just to say, hey, thanks, it was nice meeting you at the last event this last night or the last week. Just follow up. Tell them a little bit about what you do. And one of the things that we have already pre-written that I only have to tweak a little bit so it makes it easier for us is a pre-written kind of email that goes out. Hey, it was great meeting you at this last event. Such and such, whoever the event was, did a great job. Or I add a little nugget there, but it basically talks about, hey, here's what I do. Here, I'm a real estate investor focused on notes. Here's a little bit about some of the things that we do. Here's my ebook. If you'd like to get a copy, you can click here on the link to download it. Also, here's about the podcast. So it's 3 or 4 things, and it's got all the social media links at the bottom of the email. But then all I have to do is basically, if I add them into my database, boom, they get that email out to them, okay? Now, are people going to unsubscribe? Of course they're going to unsubscribe. That actually does me a big favor. If they don't want to be a part of anything that we're doing, by all means, that is totally okay. All right? Totally fine to do that. Totally fine to just say, okay, I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to get an email. That's fine. Thank you. Have a great day. Now, one of the most important things you can do with your database, though, as you're adding these people, is to understand where they're looking at and pay attention. Where are they investing? What state are they in? Especially if you're going to an event like a conference and they're out of state. What are their 3 favorite states? So one of the things I like to do is when I get a business card is actually write initial on the back of the card. Hey, something I've known about them, something with, the 3 states they're in. And I really like it when people put a face on the card, their actual picture on the card. So because at the end of an event, you get all these business cards and you're like, who is this person? I had too many Manhattans, or I had too many beers, or too many crowns. And so having a face with a name helps you recognize. Because one of the things that I like to do, and this is a very easy thing for you to do, you can use Evernote on your cell phone, okay? Take a quick screenshot. That's one of the things that I like to do. I'll take a picture of the card, and then I upload it to my CRM, which I use Infusionsoft. I've also used MailChimp in the past. And it automatically uploads their information, takes a picture, and actually saves it in the profile. So when I go back and send an email out, or somebody sends me an email, I'm like, who is this person? Who is this guy? I can pull up a photo and see who they are. But the most valuable thing is knowing where they're at. So they give you 3 states that are not in their home state. You now know what? they probably invest in 4 states. Their home state plus 3 other states, which is common in the note business where people invest in that state. Then you have basically 4 states. And it's important to have those states leveraged in their profile with different, in MailChimp, Infusionsoft has done this for years. They use a thing called tags. You can tag them specifically. So if somebody tells me that they're invested in Alabama, I will tag them in my system as an Alabama investor. I literally have a tag for all, basically 40 states that we see deals in. And if somebody tells them they invest in Illinois, great. They get tagged Illinois investor. And they may have 3 or 4 of these different tags, depending on how they registered. And that's one of the things that's really valuable to me, is that as I get deals in, and as you guys are starting off, as you're reaching out to banks and asset managers and doing those things, you're going to get lists sent to you that maybe just aren't what you want to buy for yourself. And as you're diving into due diligence, but you may know, like, oh my God, I just got a list of Alabama assets in. Who do I know that buys in Alabama? And if you've got a list of people, you can go to Alabama, send an email, hey, are you looking for deals? Here's kind of what I got. Now, one thing you got to be careful about that is you don't want to be a daisy chain or joker broker. One of the things that you want to do, it's easier if you've got the list yourself. Like, hey, I've got a list of assets all across the country. You know, we're sending some emails out to the people. Hey, we got some stuff in Illinois. We got some stuff in Indiana. Yada, yada, yada. Those things, I think you can kind of paint the picture. Like, hey, I've got a deal. You buy in the states, do you want to look at it? And that speeds up the sales process, speeds up the closing process. Okay? But many people don't do that. A lot of people haven't even built a list. All right? Now, it used to be easier to build a list if you used LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a great resource for everybody to use. It used to allow you to export your contacts. In Thanksgiving of 2018, they did away with that aspect where you can export your contacts and the emails will be showing. Now, what happens, they changed one little button that basically, if you didn't approve for your email to post, it won't export it for you. And that's hurt a lot of people, especially those that were just starting off and haven't grown on LinkedIn. Luckily for me, we had over 16,000 contacts on LinkedIn. And we would export that list, upload it into our Infusionsoft or MailChimp, and then we would basically send an email out to folks. Now, one of the things too, if you've got a database and you don't know what states they want to invest in, don't freak out. It's still really easy to kind of help your audience make the decision. You can create, this is one thing that I like, you can create with both Infusionsoft or MailChimp, or 2 of the bigger ones. Ain't really any CRM. You can actually create a custom list where it's a form that they click on a specific link. You can ask specific questions. So like what we've done with our website. If you go to weclosenotes.com, you'll see 3 tabs. The very first part of it, one is about buying notes, one about classes, and one about the note mastermind. Well, if you click on buying notes, that takes you to auto form where I ask you to fill out your information and then your top 3 states. What 3 states are you looking for? That way, when we get deals in those states, then I can say, okay, pull up a list of those that have their market 1, market 2, or market 3 as, say, Alabama. And I can just list out there. And I also have a big list, too, of my contacts that have gone through different workshops. So this is one of the things that if you've ever attended like one of our note camp conventions that we've done online, or online note or commercial note conventions, we always ask people to fill out a survey if they don't mind. We usually get about 30 to 40% of people to fill out a survey. But one of the things I ask are, what are their top 3 states? Okay. So it tells me their email, their name, their address. They will fill that out, and then their top 3 states. Well, then what I do is at the end of the event, or when I close down the survey a couple days afterwards, okay, one of the things that I do then is, sorry about that, is I'll take that full master list and then I'll combine, okay, 1 master list emails. You'll have duplicate emails because people register in 3 different states. So I take list 1, market 2, market 3, huge master list, and then I can, I can break that out by states. So if they have 30 people in Alabama, 5 people in Arkansas, I can then upload those lists individually and tag them, or add the tag as we've done in either MailChimp or Infusionsoft, whichever one you want to use, and say, oh, here's the Arkansas investors, here's the Alabama, here's the Illinois, here's the Florida investors, to add that list. And of course, the beautiful thing is that with a button or 2, you can clean it up and it'll merge people. So you don't have, if somebody registered 4 times for 4 different states, you don't have 4 contacts. You can hit a button to merge data. So it takes that same email, and now they've, instead of 4 contacts, they have 4 tags. So if somebody's invested in Alabama, Arkansas, Illinois, Indiana, they're tagged in my system 4 times. So if I'm going to send a list out, yeah, they may get the email 4 times, but hey, are you investing in Alabama? Have you registered that you're an Alabama buyer? Here, take a look at these. Now, this comes in really, really handy. Like I said, when you get lists in from other funds, other asset managers, things like that, or as you're reaching out to banks and they send you a list of something that maybe you not be interested, I would ask them, because we did a lot of this early on in our note business. It's like, hey, I'm not interested in a specific asset, but I know somebody who might be interested. Do you mind if I email it to them, or email the details, and if they respond back, we'll have them sign a non-disclosure agreement. Okay, so that's a good thing that you can be doing. You can have an automatic non-disclosure agreement with a link that they can click on, they can download, sign, and email to you. Make it really kind of an automated system for you for the most part. All right, so that comes in really, really handy with your list. Now, here's the thing. You're like, well, Scott, I'm starting off. I don't have a list. I don't just want to email my friends and families and coworkers that I'm still working at, and I'm trying to hide my side gig. I understand that. I think the last thing you want to do if you're working full-time is have your boss get an email from you and wonder what the heck you're doing, and have that long walk with a box, okay? Totally understand that. So what can you do? Well, you can still utilize LinkedIn, okay? LinkedIn is still a great source to make connections, but you're going to have to do something a little bit different. Either you're going to have to jump and look at people's profiles and see if they've got their email listed there, someone in message, or I like to use Lead Fuse is a really good source. Now, one of the things that I've done over the years is I'll literally go onto LinkedIn and type in real estate investor or note investor, and it'll pull up, do a search for that, and it'll pull up a bunch of people. You can actually add and narrow it down by states if you'd like to do that too. Now, what I also like using is Lead Fuse. It's like $97 a month. It's a service that will help you scrub LinkedIn for people and their contact. You can pick their social media profiles, or they have their email. If I did the same thing of running a list using Lead Fuse, I would ask and say, okay, run a list for real estate investors and make sure that their email is visible. Okay, I can download 500 to 1,000 new contacts each month. For either, what is it? I think $97 a month, but it really is valuable because now you've got an email. Sometimes you'll have a social media like a Twitter or Facebook handle or a website. And that comes in really, really handy now. And then what you would do is say, hey, when you download the list, it's the same thing. Hey, I just wanted to reach out. I would go to connect with all those people. And that's the thing, is you can then re-upload that email list into LinkedIn, and it'll go out and try to connect with those people. And then I would just send an email and say, hey, just want to touch base with you. I just shot you a LinkedIn invite. I'm a local investor looking for deals. You say it looks on your profile that you're a real estate investor. I don't want to bother you. But if you're looking for deals, I would love to find out what your top 3 states are. And if you're interested, click on this link to just fill out your 3 states. And as we have stuff available, we'll go from there. Now with email, what's going to happen? Well, you're probably going to get about a 20% open rate. All right. So you're going to want to follow up with that list too. You're going to have some people that opt out, some people that unsubscribe. That's okay. Just move on and realize next. But the most valuable thing you can do with your list is grow it on a daily basis, grow it on a weekly basis, grow it on a monthly basis. I know some things we've done in the past that some people are doing is they create a different list for every different social media account. So they have a different opt-in list or a list that they will send the link to for Twitter, for Facebook, for the different social media groups out there, okay? For Instagram. So that way if somebody opts in a list, they know exactly where it came from, whether it was posted on Instagram, they opted in off their homepage, whether it was at Twitter, following stuff like that, go from there. I mean, so Twitter, while it's one of the things that is probably slowing down a little bit, it's still a great place to build a list of contacts. It's still a great place to connect with people on there on an individual basis. Because you're still doing a search, doing keyword search, you can jump into conversations that people are doing either real estate investing or fix and flipping or landlord or notes, whatever. You can look to see what people are saying, what kind of conversations are going, and reach out to people. I mean, it's really easy to see that. Okay. Now, one of the things you want to make sure you do is don't post a fake profile. Well, there's people that do that. They don't put a picture up. They put some generic name, but you can see they have no followers, no friends. Those are people you're not going to want to follow because they're usually fake profiles. Okay. So the important thing to do is reach out to people, talk with people. Some things too, if you don't have a list, you may want to look at maybe, and you've got some deals, you might want to reach out to a magazine like, or a group like Realty 411 or other periodicals or websites. And you may, maybe offer up an email service where they'll do an email blast out to their database for you for $1,000 or $2,000. And that can come in really handy as well, because now you are not marketing just to your list, you're marketing to their list. And you just want to make sure it's a well-written email, make sure you've got your links in there that work. And that goes out to the list, and that's a great way to find buyers. You may want to pay a wholesale fee if you're selling an asset, whereas they send you a buyer. Somebody from their list becomes a buyer, you're paying them a referral fee. Bird dog fee is what we call it, but that's still a great way to do that out there. Other things, you may join memberships. I'll give you an example. One of the things that we did recently that's worked out pretty well is you'll often, like we had our Note Camp convention recently on the commercial side, and Scott Myers, who's a legend in the self-storage industry, got on there and talked about that. So I jumped on the Texas Self-Storage Owners Association, and it's got a searchable thing by name on there. If you search by name on their website, it'll pull up literally thousands and a couple thousand owners of self-storage units. So what did we do? We jumped on there and copied it over, dropped a list, and we have the name of the unit, the name of the company, their address, their phone number, and an email address about 90% of the time to whoever the owner was, or the general email. And what did we do with that list? Well, we uploaded the list into Infusionsoft. It's 2,700 names, just in Texas alone. And we sent an email blast out to them and said, hey, I'm looking to buy self-storage units, looking to sell their self-storage business. And we just sent one email out, and we ended up getting 5 phone calls, 5 emails back. Now, that's a pretty low rate of return, all right? 1% on 2,500 would have been 25 phone calls. So we got 0.2%. But the 5 that responded were motivated and were in phone calls and discussions back and forth on what they've got available and what they're trying to move. And so it was for basically free for about an hour, hour and a half of taking the time to pull that information, doing searches A through Z, and then exporting a list and then writing an email, send it out. It can be very effective. But now I've got a list of 2,700 self-storage owners, and 3 people responded, say, hey, we're looking to buy as well. So if you come across something you don't want, we would love to take a look at it. Bingo, okay? Cha-ching, cha-ching. When that marketing aspect. And that's the thing, just keep track of that. Your list is one of the most valuable things you can work at on a daily basis. Kind of laughing, thinking about a story here when I was a younger kid, and I think everybody, or younger entrepreneur, a lot of people have gone through multi-level things and things like that, where they're always going, oh, you need to meet 20 new people a day or 50 new people a day to get you where you need to be. I would not necessarily say that, but with the use of LinkedIn and other social media websites, you can pull a list pretty easily. You can create a new list. There's some big groups on Facebook that you can go on and say, hey, anybody interested in buying in this neck of the woods? I have deals and would love to visit with you. LinkedIn is a great place to see that as well. People will post, hey, I got deals, and you'll have like 50 to 100 to 200 people go on there and comment, oh, I'm in with their name, email, and phone number. Now, some people will say, why aren't you spamming them? Aren't you violating the Spam Can Act? Yes and no. I'm a big advocate of, like, I'll send an email out once to them for the most part, and if they don't respond, then we just don't usually send out that list. So they'll be tagged a couple of things. They may get an email once in a blue moon. But for the most part, no, I'm fine with them unsubscribing. I don't send a million emails a day out. I may send one a week, one a month to different lists out there, but that's what everybody has to do. If you're going to provide something valuable where it's, hey, I do have deals, or I'm not just going to be a joker broker, I do have something of value to give you, then that's a good thing that you can be doing on a regular basis. If you run a group, you can invite people to your group. That's a good thing too. If you're building a group online, you can do that, but you still don't end up with their emails. Some people will start meetup groups online, which is a great place for organically building your list. If you're going to be doing like a local meetup, one of the things that you want to do is they'll go in to that meetup group and set the settings that you're a part of. You have to own the group. You can't go into somebody else's group and do it. but change the settings so you require them to answer a couple questions. Like, hey, what's the best cell phone number? What's the best email address for you? And make those questions required. If they don't fill them out, they don't join the group, because you're doing a favor if you're really running a group and bringing content in each week or really trying to drive engagement. It's worth them giving up their email address. And one of the things that we have done for years, did and still continue to do, is webinars, where we'll do a webinar, Note Night in America, or we'll do a different Note Funding League, where we have different deals available for sale. Is we'll advertise. They say, we got a webinar we're doing on this week. And that's really helped us build a list over the last couple of years. I mean, when you get 6,000 plus registrants, think about that. Over 50 weeks, that's getting 120 new people on average. That's a lot of valuable thing. Now, the first webinar we did years ago, when I first started doing in 2011, I think I had 25 people. No, sorry, 25 people show up out of 50 people that RSVP'd. But 50 people RSVP'd. Okay, that was a valuable thing. I added 50 people to my database, and they opted into my webinar. So they wanted more information. So I sent them a replay, repost the email, or redo the webinar the next week for the following information. Some people will do a webinar once, and then they'll have it evergreen where they're advertising it, and people have to opt into it. That's a great list building source. It's going to cost you a little bit of funds for getting people to register and having that play auto play on either Facebook or other places, your website that you lead to. You still got to drive traffic to get people to opt in. Okay, so I think webinars is a great way to build lists, because then you can, depending on what they registered for, you can identify kind of their hot points. And this is one of the things that we've done over the years, is always, okay, what was the topic? How many people registered? How many people showed up? How many people watched the Facebook Live? Or how many people watched on YouTube? And then how many people watched the replay the week after? And we do that, boom, 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 boom. So I know how many people are listening, okay? How many people showed up to a webinar, all right? And how many people opt in? And those that on the webinars that, well, there's a lower attendance ratio or lower RSVP, it tells me that's not a hot topic. The ones with the hotter topics are this, this, and this. We need to focus more on that content. And that'll help you out tremendously as well. Now, another thing you can do, I'm a big fan of, is the Mobit, or your text message marketing. And Infusionsoft offers one called Fix Your Funnel. Mobit is a separate entity, but it does link in with Infusionsoft. So anybody that, if you text the word notes to 72,000 or text the word deals to 72,000, it'll send you back a text message. But the minute you sent that text, it captures your phone number. Great. I should opt in. You opt in. Great. I'll send you a link to 80 hours of videos, or here's a link to my PowerPoint slides, or you text deals to 72,000. Here's a link for you to register your top 3 states. And now I've got valuable information. It costs me, what do I buy? I think I buy 4,000 to 5,000 texts at a time for messages out for $1.95. So it costs me about 5 cents a text credit or less. But it's a valuable thing, because now that somebody's opted into it, as long as they stay opted in, I can send them a text message back out to them. I think in the last year, we've built about 1,000 people have opted in the last year from either me mentioning it here or me out speaking. And it's a really good high open rate. Some 75 to 85, sometimes 90% open rate. When we send a text message out with a link, we can see that people go to the link and click on the link. And that's a valuable thing. Now I know that they're very active, versus sending an email out to that database would maybe only see a 20% open rate. When I get a 70 to 80%, I will take 400% increase in opt-ins or opens, and including in that conversation, getting that conversation to grow, getting that conversation for them to respond. Now, if they unsubscribe, by all means, it's great. It saves me money in the long run. Okay, I'm fine to do that, but it's all about continuing that conversation. And a list, if you're building a list, I'm going to reiterate this again. You need to communicate. Taking a box of business cards, or a box of business cards that you never give out, or that you take them a bunch back to your house, your office, and you're sitting in a shoebox you never reach out to, it's just a waste of time and waste of money and waste of energy, because a lot of people's emails will change every 6 to 8 months. And the value of an email address decreases dramatically after 30 to 60 days if you don't respond to them almost immediately, first day or two, but then also on a regular basis. we've run different polls and see that over, I think 50–60% of our audience doesn't email out on a weekly or even bi-monthly basis or even a monthly basis to their database. And that's an unfortunate thing. And that's where you see a lot of the lack of success, is they're not doing the marketing aspect. Yes, everybody gets excited about looking at real estate, looking at deals, but when it comes out, send an email blast out to the database. They often get intimidated and won't send the damn emails, we like to say, because that's just the way of getting out. Get the word out, share what you're doing, share what's going on, share the deals that you're working through. And that's the thing about growing an email database. You've got, not only does it make sense to have a huge database, it only makes sense though is if you're going to communicate on a regular basis. If you have a list and you're not communicating, you're only hurting your own business, you're only hurting yourself. And that's an unfortunate thing, is you don't want to do that. Take the time, build your database, do it organically, meetups, real estate clubs, collecting cards yourself. But over time, as you grow a database, you're gonna realize, hey, one at a time is great. And we still see that. But if you can do it in bunches and be smarter about your time, so you're not traveling and going there, that's one of the things that we have really valued ourselves quite a bit here, is that we don't have to travel as much as we do. If we use the smart tools that are available out there, we don't have to travel a lot. We can stay relatively close to home for most of our marketing and still be able to grow a large database, add new people to our database on a regular basis, and continue to market and work it so that we constantly get people opted. Like over the weekend, I had 5 or 6 people opt into the note funding link, or they opted into buying notes, or they signed up for something, whether it's free or class, things like that. And we weren't out marketing. I mean, we weren't out of Austin. We were basically here enjoying ourselves. And so if you guys are interested in talking about that, well, feel free, shoot me a text message, 512-585-3810. It's 512-585-3810, or shoot me an email at scott@weclosenotes.com. And love to visit with you one-on-one, talk about some of the different ways that you can market and get things rock and rolling for you. But other than that, guys, go out, take some action today, make something happen, and we'll see you all at the top. Bye.